Hello, Card Geeks. It is I, Nomah, back with another compulsory episode of Card Geeks. Here with my good friend Hoosier. How you doing today, Hoosier?
I am doing fantastic, buddy. How are you?
I'm just doing great. And I don't know why I said it's compulsory. I just try to come up with a new adjective every time. And I think this one is compulsory because this is going to be a really fun view. We're really glad you guys are all here. Don't forget to bang that like button. It really, really helps our channel to grow. And speaking of our channel, if you're watching this on the at Card Geeks Show channel, thank you very much for being there. If you're not, make sure you go over there after you watch the video and subscribe to that one because right now we're still loading these episodes on our respective channels and the new Card Geeks channel, but sooner or later, we're going to phase them out on our channels and we're only going to have it over there. So make sure that you are subscribed. Hoosier, what do you want to talk about today?
So, before we get into our episode, I also just wanted to quickly note that I had someone reach out to me and they said that they really wanted to listen to our episodes, but they weren't sure how to do that. And we totally get if you don't have the time to sit down and watch the episode, or if you're in the car, you don't want to have YouTube on playing distracting. So you can actually listen to the Card Geeks show on our official Spotify page. All you have to do is search up Card Geeks on Spotify and you can find each episode and listen to us there. So just wanted to let you guys know that we are on Spotify. So I'm super excited for that.
Well, and credit where it's due, everybody. I am a nearly 50-year-old Luddite who is a psychotherapist by profession, and I don't know anything about technology. And my young whippersnapper, handsome debonair co host is all about all the cool graphics that you guys see, us having stickers, us having the podcast, all of that stuff is all you, brother. So thank you very much, Elijah, for that.
Well, I appreciate
And
it.
so, yes, if you guys want to be soothed with the dulcet tones of Nomah and Elijah while driving or doing yard work or doing the dishes or whatever it is you're doing, get on
Yep.
Spotify. We're on there. And the Card Geeks Empire is in its nascent days. Our goal is to be the biggest sports card show out there. And with you guys, we can make that happen. So thank you so much for joining us today. And my co-host had an idea of a show we should do today based on something that happened to me yesterday. So Hoosier, you wanna tee it up?
Absolutely. So today's episode is called The Perils of Prospecting. As you guys may have seen, Nomah uploaded a video recently where he pulled a certain card that, as of 3 years ago, this card would have been all over the hobby news as one of the biggest pulls of one of the most controversial players in the MLB as of right now, who has not played a single game since he's been investigated, and that is the one and only Wander Franco. So, Nomah, tell us a little bit about your insane, terrible pull.
Well, it all started when my patron and friend Richard reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I want to open a kind of a pricey box with you. I want to go in together on a pricey box, have you open it on the channel. I just want a few teams out of it." And so, luckily or unluckily for me, one of those teams was not the Rays. So I get to keep this card. But we were initially going to open triple threads, but 2025 triple threads has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And so we are in the process of um, figuring out what we wanted to open. And we finally settled on 2022 triple threads. And then my buddy Adam at the Fantastic Store, which is the brick and mortar store for Blowout cards,
Okay.
had some in his shop because I couldn't find it on Blowout, couldn't find it on Dave and Adams. I didn't want to buy it off of eBay, but Adam had some in his brick and mortar shop, which he generously sent to me and gave me a smoking deal on. So we were off to the races. Richard had his teams, I had my teams, and I was excited to open this product. And it's worth watching the video because I did pull, I'll just tease it, an amazing 3 of 3 relic card, but it's a relic of a signed jersey. So it's like kind of an auto relic. It's worth watching and it was worth opening for that reason. But there's 4 hits in a box of triple threads.
Yep.
2 relics, 2 autos. And so in this case, we got 2 of the 4 hits were he who shall not be named. We
Yeah.
have
Let's get a up
we,
close look at these bad boys.
well, we have the triple relic featuring Vidal Brujan, Randy Rosarena, and Wander Franco. And those of you watching on YouTube, I'm sorry for what my camera's doing. I don't know how to turn off center stage on my new iPad. And like I said, I'm a Luddite. So if you guys know how to make this stop happening because it drives me crazy, please let me know. So this card is 17 out of 18. It's got Franco, Rosarena, and Brujan on it. Presumably that's going to go to my cousin Chris, who PCs Rosarena. And then we also have this card, which when I first saw it, I was like just blown away by how beautiful it is. It's a blue parallel to 10.
It's
It's a
nasty.
triple relic. It's so nasty. And it's got 2 letters on the bottom, and then it's got a piece of a home jersey up here and a piece of a road jersey up here. So triple relic on card auto to 10. Fans of my channel know. And by the way, if you're not watching this at Nomah Sports Cards, go check out Nomah Sports Cards. If you're not watching this on Hoosier Pulls, check out Hoosier Pulls because we want you guys to see all the awesome card videos that we do. But at any rate, those of you who are part of Nomah Nation know that my birthday is April 10th and I collect 4 out of 10 cards. This one is 5 out of 10. And
You got lucky.
one of my longtime watchers was asking, well, what would you do with the card if it was a 4 of 10? And I said, I don't believe in hypotheticals, which is true because I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with it now. Somebody asked me how much I want for it. And I was like, I don't know, give me an email and let me know. And we can get into that in a second. But yeah, it's a sick card. When you and I were talking on the phone yesterday, because the text I sent you, which is being in the mental health field, this is not to disparage people who have serious mental health issues. And those of you that know my story know that I have been there. And so I was not trying to make light of it. But what I texted Hoosier was, I just pulled this card and now I want to kill myself because like pulling that card in 2025 is so painful and awful. And it's the 3rd time I pulled his auto since he was arrested. And I
Yeah,
never
that's
pulled it. 22, 23, 24, never pulled it. In the last year, I pulled his autograph 3 times. They've all been numbered. And I did, one of them, thank God, was a redemption for an RPA to 10 out of Heritage. And I do have the card that Top sent me instead for that. So we can get into that as well.
definitely.
I want to show you guys that one. But this one, some of you guys suggested that I reach out to Topps. I did. I actually heard back from Topps today, the same guy that helped me with the redemption card. He was very nice, but he said no dice. You are stuck with those cards. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry. He was super cool about it, but yeah. So now I have this card, and aesthetically, this is probably one of the best looking cards that I own. I mean,
And it's
the
on
thing,
card.
dude, I know.
The
And the thing
auto's
that
on card.
I know the thing I dislike about triple threads, because we all know that triple threads has like the best relics. They've
Yeah.
got bat knob relics. They've got these nasty, jersey relics. They've got all kinds of awesome stuff. Probably them in Dynasty is probably the best relics, but it's mostly sticker autos. And I don't know if that's because of when the product falls in the release calendar or what it is, or if the cards are too thick to easily ship them to the players to sign. I don't know why. It's almost always on sticker. And this is an on card auto. And I do not see any flaws. The centering is like perfect. I don't see any flaws in the corners. The auto, like this is a 10 with a 10 auto
Hmm.
all day long and twice on Sunday. And I was thinking, I mean, this would have been at least a $2,000 card. You were thinking maybe like a $10,000 card at the
Yeah.
time in
At
2022.
at the hype of Wander Mania, I would not have been surprised, especially if you were to have listed it on a premium auction site like Golden.
Mm-hmm.
There were guys who were going crazy for Wander cards, especially with that, like you said, being on card out of 10. If that was at his hype, I could easily see that reaching 10 grand.
Yeah, crazy, crazy. And just as a quick sidebar before we dovetail, because that is the jumping off point for our episode of like why you want to be really careful speculating on prospects. When I pulled the redemption, so after the controversy started, Topps stopped redeeming his redemptions. And I don't know if it's because they didn't want to mess around with trying to get him to sign, or if they
Right.
had the cards, but they just didn't want to send them out, or what it was. But I can tell you guys that if you do pull a Wander redemption, reach out to Topps customer service and ask for Greg, because he's who helped me, or ask for a manager, because they will work with you. And my favorite player for a very long time has been Pete Alonso, and fans of this show and of my show know why. Pete Alonso is now 1A. Pete Alonso didn't do anything wrong. It's just Corbin Carroll did a lot of things right to become my
Yeah.
favorite player. Extra gracious with letting me interview him for the show, and very gracious with swapping memorabilia with me and stuff. I just love Corbin Carroll, but I also love Pete Alonso, the polar bear. And what I ended up with was this insane card, which is probably my favorite card in my whole PC. And if
That's
you can see that, that's a Pete Alonso on card gold auto to 5. But look at the patch. It's really, the patch is a 1 of 1,
yeah.
because this is the Jackie Robinson patch off of his sleeve.
That is
And
nasty.
that's just gross. It's such an awesome card. And being a fan of the game and, a fan of the history, Jackie Robinson, all obviously just a hero for
Right.
so many reasons, to so many people for very good reason. And just to have, it's basically a 1 of 1 card. You're getting the Jackie Robinson patch off your favorite player's jersey plus an on-card auto. It's like, that card is just filthy. So I was very happy with that. So the good news is, if you were to pull a Wander redemption, Topps will work with you on it. And in general, if for some reason they can't redeem a redemption, I learned from this. Like, you can talk to them, you can like go back and forth, and they'll try to make you happy. But unfortunately, in opening a 2022 product, like, I literally forgot he was even in there,
Right.
because I don't open 2022 Series 1, because the only good player in there that they put was Wander, because they knew that Wander Mania would drive sales. 22
Right.
Series 2 I open a lot of, because it's got the short prints. You got O'Neal Cruz and Spencer Strider rookies, but you also got the short prints of J-Rod and Bobby and Torque. Not to mention, every now and then you pull a Shohei Ohtani on-card auto to 25 out of 2022 Top Series 2.
Yeah, every now and then.
Which, that's the other favorite card in my collection. But my point is that, like, I was hoping we would pull, like, Tatis is on the cover, or like a J-Rod, or like thinking maybe we get a Bobby rookie or something. And getting Wander twice, I was like, what is happening right now? So, yeah, if I had pulled this card back then, I probably wouldn't have sold it, because I'm dumb and like to PC cards that I pull. But you had a similar experience recently with Dylan Cruz, and you cashed out. So tell the people about that and why you did that.
Yeah, so I actually have an interesting little price graphic here on the Dylan Cruz card that I pulled and subsequently sold. So during 2024, I opened a few blaster boxes of 2024 Bowman, and I pulled the green grass out of 99 Dylan Cruz Bowman first autograph. And it was actually a day prior to Bowman's release. I actually got the boxes early. I ordered them from Fanatics. And so there was no comparable prices on eBay. There was nothing. And I knew that Cruz was the number one prospect in the product. So I really didn't have to think about it for that long. I was like, I need to sell it. He's not a Cub. He's not a PC player. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna list. I listed it for $1,000 or best offer, and that's also another tip. I usually never sell at auction. I usually always put a firm price and then put best offer on and work from there. I found that actually helps my eBay sales a lot. So I listed it at $1,000. Got like tons of offers for it immediately, anywhere from $300, to $850. And after a few days, it seemed like $850 was the consistent price. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna sell it. And as you can see here, I sold it in May for $850, and it recently sold last month in March. The exact same card, exact same parallel, for $391. So Big difference, very, very big price difference. And that's just over the period of less than a year. That's how much those prices fluctuated and how much hype there was behind Dylan Cruz being the one of the big prospects in 2024 Bowman.
Yeah, the word that jumped in my head was precipitous. That's a precipitous decline, and it's because he won the Golden Spikes, and it's because he's fast. It's because he has a cool name, and we've talked about this before. Like the market is very fickle, so it's like the guy who
Right.
won the Golden Spikes has got a first Bowman card, and he's named Dylan Cruz, which is just a cool name. And so let's hype up his card value. And then he comes up and he's scuffling, and a lot of people thought he was going to get sent down, and then he popped 2 homers the other night, so maybe not. But the point is that that's more than a 50% drop.
Right.
And you I think were smart to do that. But let me ask you a question, because I know some people struggle with this. So there's prospecting, like buying those cards, like whomever bought it from you
Right.
either did it as a long-term hold and doesn't care right now, or is really upset right now, or maybe he's the one or she's the one who sold it and just took the haircut. Who
Right.
knows? But the challenge for me is that I, generally speaking, don't invest in cards. For me, I think I could make money on it. I'm pretty smart. I'm pretty good with money. And I know a lot about baseball cards. But I have intentionally avoided it because it's something that brings me so much joy and alleviates so much stress in my life, that it's like I don't want to risk it becoming something that I'm thinking about. Like, it's my escape from work. It's the thing that
Right.
takes me out of both my psychotherapy brain and my entrepreneurial brain, because that's what I do. Is I do entrepreneurial things in the behavioral health space, right? And that's stressful, and having employees can be stressful, and hearing people's sad stories can make you feel sad. So like, I need something outside of all that, and so I've chosen to not do that, right? I think that people who invest in cards know what they're doing, and they I think that they think, well, if I buy 10 prospects and 8 of them flame out but 2 of them hit really big, it's worth it. So I'm presuming that they diversify and that they really do their research and that they have certain thresholds. Actually, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, if you guys like our show and haven't checked him out, check him out, because he actually did a very interesting video on this, of like, if you buy 10 cards at this price, you should set goals that, like, I'm going to sell half of them at this price and then another 2 at this point price, and so that
Right.
you're not emotional about it, right? Okay, having said all that, the challenge for me is that if I pull a card and then I sell it and then the guy blows up, I will forever kick myself.
Right.
So for those fans watching who just like to rip cards like we do, and maybe you sell cards in order to fuel being able to buy more stuff, or maybe you're selective, maybe you do some investing. What do you like? Let's say that Dylan Cruz 20 years from now has won 3 MVPs and he's giving his Cooperstown speech, and that card is now worth $5,000 or $10,000. How are you going to feel at that point?
I think honestly, and this is something that's I think is really important when you're dealing with selling cards and dealing with the emotional attachment to cards that you pull, because I did feel a little bit of emotional attachment because I was like, this is huge for my channel. I got a bunch of new subscribers. But what it ultimately came down to was I've seen so many prospects not meet what was expected of them. Jared Kelnick being a name that comes to mind.
Dude.
The Jared Kelnick prices when he was really hyped were insane, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And now it looks like he might be out of the league within 5 years.
Yeah.
So just thinking about that and thinking about how much I could put back into my channel with making a sale,
$1,000. Yeah.
right. That's what really made the difference. And I think that after selling it, getting a really good profit for it, and then seeing the price drop, it kind of has just solidified my stance on prospecting and selling cards when the hype is really hot. Because even if you were like, hey, I really wanted to keep this card, I mean, you could realistically buy the card back for so much
Right.
cheaper than you sold it.
Right.
And I know there are the guys who are they're gonna blow up, and there's gonna be the cards where you're like, I can't believe I sold that. But I feel for the most part that it's just smart to offload when these guys are super hot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And again, because I'm looking for return on fun versus return on investment, like my
Right.
collection is quite valuable because I've just opened a lot of cards and I've got some great hits and I've
Mhm.
traded for some great cards and I've bought a few singles. But that's not why I do it. It's more that I do this for fun. But like if you go spend $500 on a motorcycle trip, for example, that's just what you spend on gas, food, and lodging, right? Let's
Right.
forget the cost of the bike. So you've got the memories from that trip, and that's awesome. If I spend $500 on cards and I end up with $200 worth of cards afterward, like you could say, well, you just wasted $300, but you could also say, well, you wasted 500 on the motorcycle trip. You know what I mean? It's not
Right.
wasting because for me, it's about the fun of the rip, connecting with you and my other close friends in the hobby, which like
Mhm.
I have most of the people I interact with the most in my life are through the hobby, right?
Right.
um, Other than Mrs. Nomah, of course. But you know, it's like so joyful to me to have that. So like, if there's a little bit of recoup of my investment, I'm cool with it. Like, I don't do it for that reason.
Right.
But I do think that like, if you're looking to maximize your ROI, then selling big hits when you get them, I agree with you. I think that's the way to go because over the lifetime of your being in the hobby, you'll probably not leave a whole lot of money on the table, even if Dylan Cruz does get in the Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
Um, I just like to hold on to those cards and like root for those guys. Like
Mhm.
I've got a nasty Vladdy rookie that I pulled years ago, and like when he was scuffling, it looked like maybe I made a mistake in keeping it, but then, you know, and then he's been doing really well. And I was offered $2,000 for that card shortly after I pulled it, and I at first said yes, and then I got cold feet and said no. And now, based on similar sales, it's it's around 5 grand. He's gotten
Mhm.
off to a bad start this year, but I think he's probably going to follow his dad into the Hall of Fame, and I'll
Yeah.
probably die with that card in my hand, and it'll go on to my son, and that's cool. But I do want to just kind of touch on there's we were talking about names in other sports, and
Yep.
we were talking about how fickle people are. We talked about Dylan Cruz. Like, if Wander Franco's name was Willier Franco, who knows? Like, he was good, he was young. We had reason to believe that he was going to be good, but like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like if his name was Pedro Nunez, would we be as excited about him? He's Vladdy. Everyone, Vladdy.
Right.
Vladdy Jr. That's a cool name. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a cool name. Vladdy. If Wander had been named Willier Franco, would we have had Willier Mania? No, we had Wander Mania because most people are
Right.
not named Wander, and it's a cool name, and everyone's just like Wander. So something as simple as the guy's name can be like a big deal. And there's a comp for that in another sport, which is Zion Williamson.
Zion. Yep.
If his name was Bob Williamson, would anyone have cared about
Right.
the guy? I mean, Zion. But
Mhm.
if you invested money in Zion, you're probably not real psyched right now.
Right. And it was actually just recently announced the past week that he's out for the rest of the season. Again, with I think he bruised a vertebrae. He took a hard spill, and he's done. So there hasn't been one season where he's played more than 30 games.
Mm-mm.
And he, especially when the sports card market really took off during that COVID time,
Mhm.
everyone was going nuts over Zion stuff. I mean, we saw hundreds of thousands of dollars paid for his National Treasures rookie card.
Dude,
And
bad investment.
it's just insane. And that's why I also don't invest in cards, like you said. I
Yeah.
always encourage my viewers to be as fiscally responsible as you can with cards, because if you don't budget, A couple blaster boxes easily starts to really add up, and before you
Oh
know
yeah.
it, you've spent a lot of money on sports
Oh yeah.
cards, which, like everything, moderation is key. It is absolutely key when it comes to collecting. And for me, if I were to invest in cards, it would be in vintage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Thousand
vintage is
percent.
is always safe. But you made a point earlier saying that if you were to really try to go full time into making money with cards, it wouldn't be as fun. And I actually did a little experiment recently where I bought specific cards to send them to PSA to make money, and I made a video on it, and I did make money. But the process of buying cards, looking them over, paying the grading fees, I got really fortunate. I feel like I'm good at looking over cards. I had a really, really good gem rate. I've always had success with sending cards and getting them to gem, but it's, to me, it's just not worth it. It's not worth all of the hassle. And like you said, I don't want this to turn into something to where I'm not having fun anymore. Because just like you, I'm a collector first. And if there's a way to further fund my hobby or further improve the channel with selling cards, that's always a plus. But collecting, to me, always comes first.
Yeah, I 1000% agree with you, which is no big surprise because you and I approach this very similarly. And even starting our channels, I mean, we each make a small amount of money off the channels between views and Patreon. And
Mhm.
thank you guys very much for that. YouTube memberships, Patreon, and just viewing the videos. But I pour all that money back into the channel, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
And what it does is it ends up just slightly offsetting the cost of
Right.
buying that brand new hobby box and having you guys be able to see the latest and greatest stuff on our channels. I'm very grateful for it, but I don't just sit on it. I just pour it back into the channel to try to give my viewers
Right.
value, and quality content. And yeah, I just don't want to turn my hobby into a work project. I mean, there's other things that I can do to keep the lights on around here, and
Mhm.
I would just rather do that. Yeah. So, in closing, I think we've made our point. You guys have got to be careful with investing in the prospects because look at even somebody like Bryce Harper. If you'd have spent a lot of money on Bryce Harper's initial cards or initial autos, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Those
Mhm.
cards are holding value, but have they skyrocketed in value? Like, have they gone up a lot, like enough to offset the costs of others? I mean, just know that everybody that's out there that's speculating on prospects, you're not just speculating that that player is going to be good. You're speculating that they're going to be so good that it's going to go up in value over the already inflated price that you have paid.
Right.
So let's show a couple of you did some beautiful graphics here to kind of illustrate this point. So why don't you walk us through these?
Yeah, so we just have a couple more examples of cards that have absolutely tanked from prospects. And this is the Wander 2022 Topps Cosmic Chrome. This is his rookie. This is on card autograph. And also, if you want to know how to research sold cards from all different platforms, like Golden, eBay, 130 point. That's 130point.com. It's free. This is where I got all my data. So if you want to find out sold prices of cards when they first came out to now, that's a great resource to use. So this sold in March of 2023 for $592.80. It's in a Gem Mint 10, and the same exact card in a 10 in February of 2025 sold for $57.56.
That's just brutal. And obviously, Wander is an extreme example because
Right.
most people are not going to do what he did. They're not going to be accused of what he was accused of.
Right.
And we could do a whole other video on Trevor Bauer and how all that stuff went down. But
Mhm.
sometimes things that seem to be so are actually not so. It's possible that none of
Right.
this happened. His position has been it's in God's hands. He hasn't commented on it.
Mhm.
Um, but it certainly doesn't look good. And
Right.
who knows? We'll see if he makes it back to MLB or not. We'll see if he ends up in Japan or something, and maybe the Japanese fans will want to pay more. I mean, my position on his cards right now is just to hold on to them because I know some people are like, well, just throw it in the trash. But for me, it's like I don't blame people that trash them or just sell them for whatever they can get. But
Hmm.
looking at it just very detached as like, I mean, he is garbage if he did this stuff. Like that's true.
Right.
He's also 24. He's going to play baseball again somewhere. His fans, wherever he ends up, are going to see value in his cards, and we live in a global marketplace. So, my advice: if you have Wander cards and this card, unless someone offers me something cool to trade or a good
Yeah.
price for it, I don't want to sell this for $50 on eBay because, I think eventually, if he's found innocent, even if he doesn't make it back to MLB, the card will have value again. It won't be worth 10 grand, but it'll be worth something.
Yeah.
So, but it's a good example of players get hurt, players don't meet their potential. You mentioned Kellenic. I have a one
Hmm.
of one Steven Strasburg laundry tag that I
Yeah.
pulled. I once got Tim Lincecum's autograph at a game. Lincecum and Strasburg, everybody thought those guys were going to the Hall of Fame. Not so
Yeah.
much. So, you just got to be careful. And you
Yeah.
got one more for us, I think.
Yeah, and it's a guy we briefly talked about, Zion. So this was just his base Prism rookie, 2019 Panini Prism in a 10. It's sold for $209 in March. Okay, and this is
Brutal.
more of an example to show, like, hey, obviously there's a lot of base printed. If you're one of the first people to gem up a very touted rookie or prospects base chrome rookie or base prism and sell it quick, you could make a very decent profit off this because someone bought this for $209 and it sold this month for $17.50. So
Oh,
it sold for less than what it cost to send it to PSA.
that
So
is brutal.
yeah, so we knew that the base prices were not going to stay there at all, but it just shows like, hey, don't sit on this stuff.
No.
Um,
And it's not going to go to zero. Like the people that are going to buy it are like Pelicans fans
right.
or fans of his, or people probably have. There's probably someone out there who has a PC. Maybe I'll start one, a PC of people who flamed out.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll start a PC of cards that were once worth 10 times what they're currently worth, just because that's the kind of nerdy thing that I would do.
Right.
but but I mean, there's always going to be somebody that wants it. I mean, Trevor Bauer has got a huge YouTube following, and his YouTube
Yeah.
videos are extremely entertaining. So
Hmm.
his cards have value now, both in Japan where he is, but also people like the guy. And it again, we could do a whole video on it, but uh, maybe something was done wrong because he did get suspended. But at the same time, like it has been proven in court that that girl fabricated the whole thing. So,
Hmm.
you just don't know. Like, we don't
Right.
know. This whole thing with Wander looks real, real, real bad. We don't know. But the point is like, if you're still here at the end and you haven't subscribed to all three channels, what are you doing? Because you obviously like, we've just been repeating ourselves for 30 minutes of like, watch, be careful with prospects, be careful with prospects. Like, whatever you do, be careful with prospects. And I wanted just to tease a couple of other topics that we have been talking about in this video a little and that we're going to talk about more. One of them is it gambling to do this hobby? Because
Hmm.
the whole fun of opening a pack is you don't know what's in there. Does that make it gambling? I have an opinion on it. I know you do too.
Yep.
Another one is I heard the words come out of my mouth when you said if I were going to invest, I would invest in vintage. I said 1,000%. However, I had a really interesting conversation with my cousin not too long ago about this question. Are vintage cards as solid as we think? So I want to talk to you about that in one of these episodes as well. And you mentioned something offhand during this video too, which is staying in your budget. So how do you budget for your sports cards? I think that would be a great topic for a show.
Definitely.
So we've got a few shows in the queue. And as always, we're going to also be previewing all of the new products that are coming out. This one will probably drop after our Topps Chrome Black preview.
Yep.
So make sure you go watch that. And if you guys have any good experiences or bad experiences with that product, let us know. But we're just going to keep on keeping on and sharing our stories and sharing our expertise, such as it is. If you guys want to suggest a topic, we will gladly take those suggestions and I'll send you some Card Geeks swag as a thank you for helping us in our endeavor
We
here.
we got lots of stickers. All right, we got lots of stickers that are just waiting to be sent out. So
They're just waiting.
they
If you want
are.
one, it could be that you could even ask in the comments without suggesting a topic. You might get one. You might get one.
Who
Just
knows?
saying. And if you approach us at the national, we might have silver paint pens. Might get a sticker signed by the Card Geeks. So Hoosier, thank you again for being you and being such an awesome, uplifting, positive person in the community and in the world. I'm really grateful to have this show and to be your friend. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, brother. I love doing the show with you. I feel the exact same. You guys, like he said, if you like one of us, you're going to probably like both of us. So head over to Nomah's Sports Cards, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and support Nomah Nation.
Yeah. And support your favorite Hoosier, hoosierpulls.com. No, just at Hoosier Pulls.
Not
All
yet.
right, guys. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. Those of you who stayed at the end are very, 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 very favorite Card Geeks. And we hope that you enjoyed this episode. We hope that you'll let us know in the comments what you think about what we talked about and what you think should be the fate of this little piece of cardboard that is beautiful and was once very valuable and is now pretty controversial and not worth a whole lot. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. And until then,
Keep
keep on
on ripping.
ripping.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.